AM 800 KXIC and KXIC.com. It is the Petland, Positively Petland show right here on your Iowa City's news and sports station. We are joined in studio by Ron Solsrud. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
Doing very good. Nice to have you on board, Jerry.
You know, I had an opportunity to sit in for the last taping of the Positively Petland show with Mark Pitts, and so now jumping right into the role. Glad to have you along.
Sounds very, very good. So am I going to need to coach you through this session?
You're going to have to coach me, and I will do my best to keep up.
So we could start off with our amazing pet story of the week. Do you have that big voice guy?
It's time right for the amazing pet story of the week.
Talk about this guy. He's kind of a strange dude, and so we'll talk about him in the future episodes.
So something about Birkenstocks and
this
hairy
guy,
chest wig, and
he's goofy.
All
and
right.
When he comes into the studio to say that, he actually hits you around. He was really nice today. He came in, did it, and got out. I think he's being nice to you this week.
Taking it a little bit easy on me.
Next week, you better watch out.
Well, the amazing pet story of the week kicks off with a heartwarming story of Tortoise and the Hare forgive grudges and become best friends. With a lifespan of roughly 100 years, the tortoise has plenty of time for grudges, but one gracious half-shell is putting her longtime rivalry with hares aside to befriend a baby bunny. Yes, Wamba is the resident pet tortoise at the Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain in Marina, Arizona, who lives in her own posh pad on the hotel grounds. According to the hotel's website, on a recent chilly night, a baby bunny snuck into Wamba's night residence to get toasty under the tortoise's heat lamp. The little bunny, only about 4 inches long. 4 inches long, that is a little bunny. It got inside the habitat and cozied up against the limbs of the giant tortoise. There they bonded, very quickly becoming instant friends, the Post said. When a ranger found the pair cuddled together the following morning, he said Wamba was being protective of her new friend. As the ranger attempted to remove the bunny so as to clear the plant debris from its neck, the tortoise became quite responsive to their actions, emitting grunts and groans in a clear demand for the gentle care of the newly found friend, the Post added.
Don't mess with my bunny.
Eventually, the ranger was able to carefully remove the baby bunny and take him to a veterinarian. The vet removed 4 layers of plant matter that were wrapped tightly around the bunny, constricting his skin. After his checkup, the bitty bunny was put back under the hotel rangers and Wamba's care, where he will stay until he is strong enough to be released. Rangers at the hotel said that if the little rabbit returns to Wamba's side after the release, the hotel will be happy to provide a home for both of the new friends. That is the amazing pet story of the week.
That's a nice bonding story there.
The tortoise and the hare becoming friends once again. As the glistening tear comes down, Ron's in my eye. So, now that we have that...
You're going to ask me, what are we going to cover today?
You know, Ron, I was just thinking, what are we going to cover today?
We're going to hit the Havanese. I'm going to stump you on this, and this one's going to be a softball throw to you. Where does the Havanese originate from? And so we're
Belize.
You're going to come up with a better answer than that.
Okay.
Because I think we're online. All right, so we're going to talk about Havanese. Is that the right breed for you? Then we're going to go into dog training. I think I have 3 things lined up, but I think we're only going to get through potty training. The 3 key things that you need to know about potty training your dog, whether it's a puppy and you're just starting, or whether this is a dog that's 5, 7, 10 years old and still having issues. We're going to help you with that as well. And then we're going to go into, I like to expose dogs to new treats and cats to new treats and all your pets. Does your dog have liver? Got liver? And we're going to talk about the liver treat for your dog.
The liver treat?
The liver as a treat.
Liver as a treat. Human liver, or where does the liver come
from? Yeah, you're going to take it right from your own liver and feed it to the dog. Come on here.
I'm
No,
thinking
we're going to talk
probably
about
not.
liver in a bag, and I guess you got a good point. There are different livers out there: chicken liver, beef liver, and all that kind of stuff. There are a variety available.
There are. All at Petland.
All at Petland. And so a little bit about Petland. We're Petland of Iowa City, located across from the Marketplace Mall, which used to be the Sycamore Mall. We are open today at noon until 6 p.m. on Sundays. And then all other days, we're open from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. Some things that drive people into our store just to check things out. If you're not into handling pets, which I think we all are, we've got the dogs, the cats, the reptiles, the bunnies, the guinea pigs, all to have fun with. But we also have the $5 nail trims, no appointments necessary. And then we have all of our dog and cat food on a buy 10, get one free. We track it for you, so you don't have to do anything there, and take advantage of that. So come on in and check Petland out.
So getting into the dog of the week, what is it again?
The Havanese.
Havanese.
You want to preview? Here, we're going to stump you right now, and then we can go take a commercial break or something like that.
Stump me and give me a little bit of time to think about it.
All right, so the Havanese.
Havanese.
I'm going to give you the hint of think of the name as far as where is it from.
Ooh.
I believe it.
I think I got it.
Okay. So we'll come after the break and see if Jerry is on this one.
I think I can. It is the Petland, Positively Petland show right here on Iowa City's news and sports station, AM 800 KXIC and KXIC.com. Good morning.
Is now live on YouTube.
Let's do it. It is the Positively Petland show, the Petland, Positively Petland show on 800 KXIC. Good Sunday morning. I am Jerry Lawler in studio with Ron Solsrud from Petland in Iowa City. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing fine and dandy. I think we're in some warm weather here, aren't we?
We are, and things are looking pretty good for the week, but you put something in front of me. Now, I am a highly intelligent, like above average person. Not that
Oh, you're going to like smoke me then.
I'm very, very humble when it comes to my intelligence, but I will admit I know quite a bit about dogs. And the question that you proposed in front of the break was, once again,
where does the Havanese originate from?
My original guess was Belize, because it sort of sounds like Havanese, Belize, that line of thinking.
Okay.
But then you emphasized, I don't know if you realized it, you emphasized the Hava.
Yeah.
So my guess, drum roll at home please, is going to be Germany.
Wait, I thought you were on something there. Okay. Everybody listening right now is shouting, say Havana.
Oh, yeah, Cuba. Cuba is my guess, my official guess.
So all of that pompous circumstance stuff that we just did, Germany.
People are screaming that out going, what an idiot.
All right. So
Cuba, is that the right answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so we'll go into the history of that. So what we do at this segment is I have a very big book from AKC that goes through all the different breeds, and it just gives you a flavor for each.
And that's the American Kennel Club, right?
Yes, the AKC one. I think the original tracker of lineage of dog breeds. And a little known fact, everybody thinks AKC by itself is doing all this. And what actually is happening is clubs organize for a certain breed. So in this case, it's the Havanese Club of America. You can go to their website, havanese.org, And they organize, they put the standards together, written out, all sorts of different things that they have, hoops that they got to jump through and all that. Then the AKC does have criteria that they have to follow as far as organizing your club. And then they probably, I don't even know what the proper word is, but petition AKC to accept them into the AKC group.
So the club members have to jump through hoops. I just had the visual of dogs leading
I think
humans around the racetrack going, come on, jump through this hoop, jump through this hoop.
And so in 1979, that club was formed and came into the AKC. So recognized by the AKC in 1996. So the club was formed in 1979, got their act together, got all the criteria of what does a proper Havanese look like, colors, behaviors, all that kind of stuff, so that they can preserve that breed going forward. That's what breeders would breed to in order to maintain a good standard breed. And then in 1996, the Havanese was brought into the AKC club and recognized as a purebred. Now, there are breeds out there that are not in the AKC yet. So like, let's say dachshunds, miniature dachshunds. Anybody that's into miniature dachshunds would say that's a breed by itself. But nobody has organized a miniature dachshund club yet. And so all dachshunds are the same as far as AKC goes. They understand that there's some differences, but nobody's organized that club yet. So let's read a little bit about the Havanese as AKC, or at the club of Havanese Club of America, has put it together. The Havanese is the national dog of Cuba and the island nation's only existing native breed. So that's the only breed that come out of Cuba. Kind of thought there would be more coming out of Cuba. They seem like people that are, they're entrepreneurs or whatever, as far as doing that. But the only one, dogs. So what makes up it? The Havanese dogs of the Bichon family were brought to Cuba. So that's the non-shedding side of things, and adapted to the island's diet and climate, resulting in a smaller dog than his predecessors. So I've never thought about it, but the Havanese must be a little smaller than the Bichon, with a completely white, silky texture coat. So that's coming from the Bichon. But there's got to be something more going on here. That dog was all right, I'm going to brutalize this name here, but we're going to go for it. Blacuta de la Habana. Okay, there it is. Also known as the Havana silk dog. In the 19th century, poodles arrived in Cuba from other countries. The result of crossbreeding poodles to the Havana silk dog was a slightly larger dog of various colors who retained the silky coat and Bichon type. That dog is known as the Havanese. So long and short, the Havanese is a crossbreed between poodles and Bichons. So at the start of the Cuban Revolution, so here's some nice history, many natives left their country. That's interesting. Some families brought Havanese with them to the United States, where they caught the eye of, this is going to be the first breeder within the United States, Mrs. Dorothy Goodall, an American dog breeder. She purchased 11 Havanese, and by 1974, a breeding program was underway in the United States. And then she goes on to get them recognized and all that kind of stuff. So that's the history of them. So is this Havanese really the right breed for you? We already learned that it is definitely a non-shedding dog. So if you're into that, it's a smaller dog. So it's a little bit more about the form and function. Havanese were developed to be ideal, small, beautiful house pets. Their compact, sturdy size, soft, silky coat of many colors, friendly, happy disposition, and their strong desire to be with their family all contribute to their role as household pets and family entertainers. So a little bit about living with a Havanese. An attentive, loving owner who is at home most of the time is ideal for this charming dog. Havanese thrive on plenty of attention from family members. So this is great with kids and stuff like that. Gentle, patient training will result in wonderful companion dog. Although busy and curious, the Havanese are highly intelligent and trained easily. So that's a little bit about the Havanese. It goes on to do some more talk. But if you think about this, we've got a poodle. That's a little bit of a high energy. And this is a miniature poodle. This wouldn't be a standard poodle. So a miniature poodle and the Bichon. So this is an active dog. This isn't one that you go, oh, and I want a dog that just lays around all day.
Right.
This is not that dog. So if you've got smaller, or if you have children, you're looking for a non-shedding dog. You're looking for some color in there. So Havanese have a variety, and there is a variety of colors out there. Easily trained. The poodle is one of the easiest of dogs to train, but that can bite you in the butt too. So if you've ever
no
seen,
pun intended.
Yes. If you've ever seen that family that goes, oh, this dog just won't leave me alone. That's a smart dog. It's training you. And it's saying, I want, but you haven't figured out what it wants yet because you haven't satisfied the need yet. And so it's going to continue in that. Now, how do you combat that though? If you're training them, then they're in a sense distracted with that training and they become a really, really nice dog. I have a Maltese poodle at home. That dog wants to be trained all the time. It wants to have that interaction. That's what it's all about. Same thing with the Havanese. People don't know much about the Havanese. It's more of a recent breed to America, for one thing. But anybody that has a Havanese is one of those, oh my gosh, it's the best breed ever kind of a thing. So if a little bit more, the way I describe a Havanese to somebody that's never seen this breed, most people will have seen a Shih Tzu. Take you're looking at me with blank eyes. Have you seen a Shih Tzu?
I have.
Okay. So that kind of a color, hair, but what's the distinctive characteristic about a Shih Tzu? Their nose is pushed in.
Yep.
Yeah. Pull that out.
Okay.
And now you've got a Havanese look. And so that's what the Havanese look. It's a wonderful dog. It's not a tiny dog. So this isn't that 3 to 7, 10 pounds. This is going to be in the low teens kind of area. It is definitely, if you're concerned about, if you're that person that says, I don't want a small dog because I'm afraid to trip on it or step on it, this doesn't tend to be that dog. It's very alert about what it's going on. With my own, I have a smaller, I guess, version of this would be, we never step on her because she's so attentive. When you step back, she runs back or backs up real quick to stay out of your way and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really wonderful dog in that way. Know that it's a non-shedding breed, so we love that aspect because there's not going to be shedding around the house. But it requires grooming then. And so that's about, depending on how tight you keep that coat, that's about once a month to every 3 months. The longer you let it go, the more maintenance you're going to have to do. Combing, brushing, primping, all that kind of stuff. I remember when I have 2 children at home, but they're not children anymore. Now they're 19 and 22. Emily, when she was a young girl, I would do her hair all the time, wash it, blow dry it, braid it, and all that kind of stuff. And I loved that aspect and that interaction. If you like that, you can get that in, with your dog and everything. I did find that I got overwhelmed with it on the dog side. There was a lot more hair. And so I did resort to a groomer in that case. I was doing it all on my own on the front end.
Did you braid the dog's hair also?
No, that would be kinky. No, just not.
But the primping and whatnot, the daily combing through and just keeping it,
updated
can be a lot of work.
Yeah. And so all I do on mine, and you would do this with the Havanese, is there's probably going to be a little tear staining. So you're going to have to wash the eyes a little bit every morning. I do a little cutting of the hair about weekly on that. A little paw trimming from time to time, little things like that you end up doing just to help out between groomings.
It's a lot easier to trim the nails on a small dog than a large dog. So I had a Great Dane, Blue Merle, for 11 years, and
beautiful Blue Merle.
Oh, she was beautiful. She died April 15th, 2016, but April 16th, 2015. So just about 2 years ago, and she absolutely loved getting her nails done with me. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I got her to the point where we tried one of the small sanding discs, and on a bigger, I don't even know, maybe on a smaller dog, they just don't seem to cut through. So I actually used my Dremel on her.
Which is the same thing.
It's essentially
really.
the same
all
thing.
Those guys out there, these little sanding tools that I think it's gone away. There's not in the media anymore where you would sand down that. I looked at it and I went, well, wait, I got a Dremel at home. I could use that.
And I the first couple times I just got her used to the sound, and she would honestly lay down on her side and let me do all four.
That's
and,
crazy.
And her dew claw and everything like that. And the motor on that was powerful enough that it wouldn't go down to the quick, so I could keep them fairly trimmed, every couple.
But
weeks
how long
so.
would it take per nail?
Oh gosh, per
like
nail?
A minute?
Maybe not even that.
Yeah, where a clipper would go clip, 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 and you're done.
The issue that we had with the clippers were when she was younger, they worked really, really well. But then if you don't keep up with it, that quick starts to grow through the nail so much. And that's when I found using the Dremel just worked a little bit better for us, because I was so afraid once you there was one time that I just got too deep on it doing it at home. So and I cut her quick, and that first time that you see blood all over the place and you realize, oh gosh, and you try your best to not do it, but sometimes it just happens. And so I just erred on the side of caution, and I said, okay, let's start doing it more regular, get that quick trained back into the nail.
That's exactly how you do it.
And then proceed.
Yeah. And so a dovetail on that is why we have the $5 nail trim at Petland in Iowa City.
Yeah.
And that is because there's so many people horrified with that. You just bring your dog in, we'll take care of it. No appointments necessary. Just bring your vaccination schedule in. You're going to need to be up to date on your distemper and your rabies. We'll keep that on file so you won't have to keep on bringing it in. But like you said, sometimes you just can't avoid, especially on those darker nails, hitting that quick. We have what's called Quick Stop. It's a blood coagulant. Mm-hmm. It's safe for the dog.
We actually bought some from Petland.
Yep, there you go.
It was shortly after that that I was like,
that's when you learn it.
I was so mortified, and she was fine, but getting outside and whatnot, you could tell it was bugging her, and then we were much more careful. But if you're comfortable doing it, then you can do it.
Otherwise, we'll even show you how to do it. If you want to learn how to do it, come on in. We'll bring you back there.
But otherwise, I think that we probably would have erred on the side of caution and just taken it over to you and just said, here, you guys deal with it.
Oh, so many people, they'll have the nail trimmers up on the counter, and I go, do you know that we do $5 nail trims here? Let me go put this back.
Yeah.
And they go, I'll be in another hour.
It's how you, we talked about it a little bit off air before we came on air. That I've grown up around dogs my entire life. So there are certain things that maybe I'm a little bit more comfortable with, I guess. And that was one of them.
Yeah.
She was a Great Dane. And so, kept her combed through with a horse comb.
Yeah.
And just tried to keep her, as groomed as possible.
Because it was a Great Dane. Yeah. You get everything horse size.
It is.
I know. That's hilarious because I know that from the store as well. Everything. Oh, what kind of dog you have? Great Dane. Oh, here, let's go over to this section. These are the horse versions of all these, and then get one of those.
It was the big loop that was probably about 8 inches long, and it just did great on her. But she was such a baby. She would lay down and she loved.
Oh, there you were.
She loved being primped all day long.
Yeah, that's all scratching. Dogs love that.
Yep.
And then I also, because yours was a large breed, you were doing the nail trimming. Is that correct? You were actually doing the trimming of the nail.
Yeah.
Where ladies would have a more difficult time. And I just know this from our own store. We have a lot of ladies in our kennel, as kennel technicians. They love that position. They love that position.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things they do then is the nail trims. They've been trained on it and all that. And I notice with the bigger dogs, the smaller hands that they have to use the bigger nail trimmer to get through the nail, and it's a little more difficult. Once you figure it out, you got to. But
and even doing it with a bigger breed like that, I know we're talking about the Havanese, which is a smaller dog. You do not realize the pressure that it takes to cut through a nail that big. And you want to do it as clean of a cut as possible so that it doesn't.
Do it once and be done.
Do it once because the dog is going to trust you more if you do it cleanly, and you don't jerk around and pulling on her paw and whatnot. That's my experience. But also, you don't want the nail to splinter because once it starts to splinter, there was one time when she was a kid that I don't even know if we cut it or somebody else did. But anyway, it got infected. And then that just causes a bunch of problems also. So once again, I'm an advocate of the $5 nail trim at Petland.
Yeah, it's easy. And that was actually a nice segment right there that we didn't anticipate, but we just got into how to trim a nail on a dog or a cat in that way. And there is a lot of customers out there that are now intrigued, like, oh, I have not done it, but believe it or not, in that discussion, somebody's saying, I think I'm going to try it. And so just come on in. If you want to learn more about it and have more hands-on at Petland, we will show you how to do it. You bring your dog or cat in, and we'll actually show you how to do it so that you can do it on your own if you wanted to. If you don't, if you're with most people, here's the dog, take care of it. Yep. We can do that too.
Great.
So we're going to abbreviate a little bit the the training side of what we were going to do on potty training. We're going to lump majority of it into next week, but just let's introduce the 3 basic things on potty training and introduce the topic. So potty training, I think, is one of the number one reasons why that people have difficulty with. It's also one of the number one top 3 reasons why people relinquish their dogs to the shelter or to somebody else. I'm tired of this. I don't want my dog peeing and pooing in the house anymore. I, in fact, have a dachshund. That was our first dog. I think it's now 15 years ago. That's what got me into this mess, this whole thing. Callie, our dachshund, who is still living to this day, was with a different family, 1.5 years old. And that family had a baby, a new house. And any couple that has that new baby understands that's so overwhelming. I was talking with a mom yesterday with 2 kids and was telling her about my experiences. And she goes, oh my gosh, we're having the same thing where, you get overwhelmed at times with these kids. Well, this family had this little puppy because they thought it was a good idea as well. And I think they had the puppy, they got the puppy around the same time they had the baby into the family and just didn't do any of the potty training. Mm-hmm. So Callie was an expert at pooping and peeing in the house because she wasn't getting out enough and all that kind of stuff. And that's the gentleman that relinquished it to us said, I'm tired of stepping in poop in the middle of the night when I'm trying to soothe my baby, kind of a thing. Overwhelmed is what it was. Sure. And I think they did it the right thing at that point. And they said, let's get this little dog into a different family. And that's where we came along, and Wendy and I think we're probably very similar to many families. That was my first dog ever. I brought puppies home to my family when I was growing up, but I was directed to get it out now.
I was going to ask you how that went.
It didn't go well. We had 5 kids, but you came from a family of 5 kids too.
Yeah, so I was the youngest of 5.
So my mom, and I just talked with her yesterday, was overwhelmed. Just even this as we were growing up, and she goes, I just can't deal with another thing. I love dogs. I grew up with dogs, but this is not going to happen in this family. And so I never got that. And so we got this dachshund into our house, and we didn't know about the potty training issue until we got it into our house. And we would take Callie for walks, would hold it, would not go.
Really?
And we're like going, the heck is going on here? I thought dogs just go poop and pee.
So she was that accustomed to going inside that she wouldn't even go outside?
She waited till she got back in.
Wow.
I mean, literally, we would go on a leash out for a walk and all that, come back in, take her off the leash to let her run around. She'd immediately poop or pee at that point. And we're like, well, that's crazy. So we searched for how do you potty train a dog and found it. This was 15 years ago. We didn't see that. Where do you go? There was no place to go.
It wasn't. Well, the internet was just probably.
Yeah, it wasn't where it's at today. Yeah. And even the internet today, I find, does a poor job at best on helping you learn how to do it. There's nothing like you're on the internet. You're getting a lot of one experience write-ups.
I was going to say either a blog or somebody's opinion that it works
on my one dog
for them in that particular situation, rather than going to the experts at Petland and saying, hey,
we've seen the variety. Yeah. Hundreds of dogs help people with that. And so Callie, we ended up doing on-leash training and all that kind of stuff. But what we didn't know were the 3 basic things. And now we do in Callie and our most recent dog, which is now 7 years into our house. Kennel training, and I'm going to intro it into next week. Kennel training, what does that mean? And is it appropriate for dogs? Yes. We're going to talk about the kennel. We're going to talk about it as a crib for a baby. A kennel is to a dog. It almost looks the same too, because the crib's got rungs. Hey, you could call that a cage if you want. Well, that kennel is so appropriate for a dog in so many ways. We're going to use that to help the dog understand its natural instincts of denning. They den in dens in the wild. That kennel is their den in your house. We're going to learn about how to clean up an accident with a stain and odor remover with an enzyme in it. And the enzyme is the key to removing the permission to pee smell. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about the treats. Treat training, and what we talked about last week. The power of a treat in communicating with a dog is so key, but you got to give them the treat, like we said last week, immediately when they're doing whatever that behavior is that you want them to repeat. And you got to be consistent, and there's got to be frequency in it, because the first time you give them a treat, they don't know what's going on. The second time, they still don't know what. But the 10th, the 20th time, they start picking up a pattern. Hey, I get a treat when I'm squatting outside, kind of a thing. And then they start understanding it. So we're going to cover that, how to do that.
Recapping from last week's show, that's one thing. So I've owned, I don't know, a dozen dogs in my lifetime. Is you pointed out last week, just to recap last week before we wrap up here, give that dog the treat while they're doing their business outside, because if you do it 5 or 10 minutes later, they don't understand what the reward is for. With the experience that I have had with dogs, that was an eye-opening experience, because I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. As humans, we put the relative time in going, oh yeah, they went and did good business outside 5 minutes ago, but to a dog, they're like, squirrel, what's going on?
Yeah.
I get a treat for just standing here. This is awesome.
Right. Yeah, we have the English, in America, the English language to converse back and forth. So to our 10-year-old child, Johnny, we're going to Disneyland because you did a good job with school this season.
Right.
You got all A's. And like I said, if you got all A's, we're going to go to Disneyland. So Johnny now understands that was a positive experience. With your dog, they can't speak English. We can't speak bark. So you got to do it right when they do it. So in a sense, right when Johnny got an A, he got a reward kind of thing. That's the kind of approach you got to do with a dog.
Well, it is the Positively Petland show. I know you were just dying to get into liver as a treat. We got a little bit off on tangent, but that was a good exchange as far as, the different experiences and the different services that you provide at Petland in Iowa City. So we want to thank Ron Solsrud for coming in, and the Havanese from where again?
Cuba,
not Germany.
Havana, Cuba.
So it is the Positively Petland show.
You are so funny with the Germany. You were very happy and proud. Germany.
During the break, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Cuba, but I just wanted to throw you for a little bit of a loop. And your reaction was absolutely 100% what I was looking for. It was like, he's got it. What the? So it is the Positively Petland show right here on 800 KXIC. We'll see you back next time. Have a great Sunday.